Okay. Yep, it looks like we are recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli Daily Walk Edition. It is Sunday. Sunday. Remember those commercials on TV where they would try to get you to some major event by having some guy with a really cheerful, positive, exciting attitude? Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that way today, even though I'm feeling kind of shitty at the same time because I think I've come down with a common cold. So right now I am medicated, heavily medicated. Well, maybe not heavily medicated, but I'm on Dayquil and using Advil as well. Great combination. Advil takes care of some of the issues, and then Dayquil takes care of the other issues that Advil doesn't. Together they make a great combo. Whenever I'm feeling sick, I take 2 Advil liquid gels, liquid caps, whatever you call them, and 2 Dayquil liquid gels, and I'm good for like 6 hours. They say you can take them every 4 hours, but I take them every 6 because you can't take more than 8 in a 24-hour period. Anyway, it is Sunday. I'm here at Red Morton Park. I'm back at Red Morton Park, and I may sound a little jumbled today because, again, I'm not 100%, so don't mind me. Another thing, we still have that major fire here in Northern California up in Butte County near the Chico Paradise Redding area. I initially thought it was started by a campfire, but it's actually called the campfire because I think there's a road there called Camp Road or some shit like that. Can't remember. Initially, I had mentioned in the previous video a few days ago that this fire was started by a campfire, but it wasn't. I think it was started by like a PG&E, faulty PG&E line. And this fire has now grown to over 100,000 acres. Now, if I look at the air quality today, if you look up here, it's not as bad as it has been, but it's still bad. You can still smell it. And I'm very, very healthy. I'm in great shape. Take good care of myself. But this fire has affected me, and I'm just wondering if the smoke has made me sick or if I just caught the common cold from somebody. I think I actually caught the common cold. And interestingly enough, I just went to Target to go buy a few things. I needed to stock up on some Dayquil and some cough drops and other shit like that, bubble gum, other shit like that. Many people are wearing like those gas masks or those face masks, so that way they're not breathing in, the smoke. Yeah, you wanna stay indoors as much as possible when you're dealing with shit like this. And again, I live about 150 to 175 miles south of the fire zone. And because it was so huge, the wind just pushed it all the way down. Anyway, enough of that. I was going to do a couple videos. Actually, I was going to do one video yesterday, but just didn't get a chance to do it. I went out with some friends and, was out most of the day yesterday. Some things came up. Things will come up. So my apologies for that. So I'm going to try to do 2 videos today if I'm feeling okay. I'm recording this first video at around 11:15 a.m. Then I'm going to finish my first walk of the day. I'm going to do 4 laps here, and then hopefully I'll take a little break and then maybe go somewhere else and do a second video because I have some really interesting topics to discuss today. And I'll get to the topic of this, first installment of the daily walk, not the daily walk, the Navigating the Matrix. See how messed up I am? There was a guy on YouTube that used to run a show called Navigating the Matrix. My show is called Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli Daily Walk Edition. There we go. Again, don't mind me. I'm a little under the weather. I may cough a few times, so please don't mind me there. So Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, Daily Walk Edition. And 2 great topics. First topic I'm going to be discussing in this video. Let's just get to that. Okay? Do women use men to gain true independence? I can't remember exactly what the topic is. I had it written down. Do women use men in the modern world to gain true independence? Wow. I don't know if I'm going to actually make it through this video here. Between me not feeling good and like the smoke out here, wow, hopefully I do make it through this because this is a great topic here. All right, so again, I'm probably going to be coughing for most of this every now and then. Bear with me. So yeah, before I get to the topic of today's Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli topic, I'm going to mention that I'm going to try to do a secondary topic later today regarding, do both men and women, require a great emotional bond, or do both men and women require their emotional needs to be met in order for a relationship to go the distance, to be successful? And that should be an interesting topic as well because, most people think it's about the women's emotions, and they think that men are supposed to be strong, which we are. But do we need to be emotionally satisfied in our relationships with these women that want the emotional satisfaction? Do we need to have, excuse me, do we need to have emotional satisfaction? And my answer to that, I'm going to save it until the next video. Oh boy, I feel really, really shitty. And I'll tell you, it's the smoke that's affecting me out here. Like I said, I think I'm actually coming down with a common cold, but the smoke isn't helping. So I'm going to try my best to get through it. So let's talk about, do women use men to, gain true independence in the modern world? I have two personal experiences that I'm going to be sharing that will, prove some good points here. But before I get to these experiences, because they are involving my last two relationships, including the one I got out of 3 months ago, and the one before that I've talked before many times regarding a lady who was a veterinarian and she cheated on me, etc. Before I even go into it, I want to mention that, I'm not here to criticize my exes. I'm not here to criticize women. I'm not here to talk shit. I'm just here to state the facts. I'm here to prove some points that many people just don't understand in today's day and age. Because a lot of people, there are a lot of women out there that are all about girl power. They're all about, the modern day woman doesn't need a man for anything. And, we can do everything ourselves and blah, blah, blah this, blah, blah, blah that, right? But in these two stories, I can prove to you that men still have a purpose. And that even though in today's day and age, women are more self-sufficient than they have been before, I honestly think that women still need the support of a man to be completely independent. And in all honesty, I'll say the same thing on the flip side for men. A man can be independent, self-sufficient without a woman. But I honestly think him having a woman in his life, can help balance his life even better than he's already doing it. And there's nothing wrong about that. A lot of people are going to say, okay, well, masculine energy is definitely, being on your own and making shit happen on your own and not needing a woman for anything. For the most part, that's true. But from what I've noticed personally and what I've seen in other relationships is when you have a good, healthy, happy relationship, you balance each other out and you complement each other's lives better. Oh boy. Oh man, this air quality is so shitty. So let me just try to get into these stories here. I don't know how long these videos are going to be today. I've been doing some really long videos lately, but yeah, I'm going to try to get to the point quicker because, wow. So anyway, let's talk about my two relationships, my last two relationships that lasted about a year to a year and a half each. The first one, which was not my last relationship that I was in with the ex that recently broke up with me 3 months ago, it was the one before that. That relationship lasted for a year. And basically, I met both these women on Match.com, had some great conversations with them on the phone. And then we met up, and things just happened instantly. We just connected. It was great. It was a great feeling. It was a great mentally, emotional, physical, and spiritual bond. Okay? But with this lady that I met, 2 exes ago. All right, let me move over here because people are coming. This side's busy on the park. The other side was pretty calm. With this lady that I met, she was basically legally separated, going through a divorce, and she was having a hard time, with the settlement of the divorce process. And when I first met her, she was actually pretty honest with me. She told me what she was going through. She told me that, excuse me one second here. She told me what she was going through. And she even told me that she is in the military, in the Army, and she served in active duty. And she suffers from PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I should have taken those signs right there, along with her not being fully divorced yet, being legally separated, and run for the hills. But I didn't do it. I was very attracted to her, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I felt a great emotional bond with her. And I'm going to share more about that in the second video today, about what really keeps guys around longer with some women that end up being the wrong woman. And how much the emotional bond really does matter to a man, no matter what you think. The emotional bond is what's going to keep people together longer. And I'll share more about that in the next video. So I started seeing this woman. We were hanging out. It was great, despite everything she told me about her. Despite all the red flags that should have made me run for the fucking hills. About 2.5 months into it, I asked her, how's your relationship like with your father? And she said, I hate my fucking father. He's a narcissist, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. At that point, when that date ended, I should have just said, fuck it. I never want to see her again, because what I had learned and chose to ignore at that point. Let me just move through here really quickly. There's a lot of people here. Okay. What I had learned before that, and should have just, taken my own advice, is that the relationship between a daughter and his father is absolutely crucial. And it basically, states how she would treat any man. So if she has a shitty relationship with her father, she's going to look at all men that she's dating in the same ways as she sees her father. Okay? But I chose to ignore it because I was feeling a strong emotional bond. The intimacy was great. Emotionally, we had a strong bond. It was pretty good. It just felt good being with her. Okay? For the time being. But what ended up happening? She was really trying to settle her divorce. Her husband was trying to get more than he deserved, which I found out that, it was more her fault than his fault. I'll get more into that in a bit. But she just couldn't figure out a way to settle the divorce with him. She had an attorney she was paying a lot of money to. That attorney really wasn't helping her. I connected her with an attorney friend of mine that did help her, and she still was prolonging the settlement. She just didn't want to settle. She kept going back and forth. And, she had some opportunities to kind of bluff him and call him out on his shit, but she was so afraid to bluff him to try to, get him to settle for a lower amount. And she didn't want to do it. It started taking a huge toll on our relationship to the point of where, I started losing attraction for her. But I still had the emotional bond. I lost physical attraction for her. And, I was kind of starting to just feel like, things were kind of slipping, but I was already emotionally bonded to her that it was difficult to walk away at that point. I got used to being around her, spending time at her place. She had 2 dogs and 2 cats that I fell in love with. I got wrapped into the whole thing. What ended up happening down the road? She ended up lining up a replacement. She cheated on me. And then basically ended up using me in many ways that I'm not going to talk about here. I've talked about them before in many other videos. She ended up moving in with me, temporarily, even after she sold her house as part of the divorce settlement, because she had pretty much maxed out her cards and run out of money by the time she did settle it, to the point that she needed to live with me rent-free for 2 or 3 months until she could save up enough money to get her own place and move forward with her life and get back on track. She herself even told me before she left my place on the last day that I couldn't have done this without you, and she thanked me, even though she had cheated on me, and she was still, with this new guy. She cheated on me when she was living with me, even though we were trying to work things out. Now, I know I was all over the place with that story there, but I kind of wanted to share it as best as possible because, in all honesty, if it wasn't for what I did to support her, there were times where, I would buy groceries when she was short on money. I took care of her pets for a 2-week period where she had to go to a military army event, the training event for 2 weeks back east. If I didn't take care of her pets for her and stay at her place during that time, it would have probably cost her $1,000+ to put her pets in boarding. She got that out of me. Okay? I was at the right place at the right time, to the point of where even when she knew that she had met this other guy and she was keeping him a secret initially, and she was going to leave me eventually, she kept me around because she knew she could not make it without me. She knew she needed me to make it happen. Now, before I get to my next story here, which is a better story, it's a more positive story, but there's still some negatives to it, and I'll get to that in a bit here. But my ex, 2 exes ago, the veterinarian that cheated on me, used me, took advantage of the emotional bond she knew I still had with her to get to where she needed to get to, back into a better place. And then, boom, once she didn't need me anymore, she kicked me to the curb and moved on with her life. And guess what? A couple years later, the guy that she cheated on me with, I found out by doing some research online that she ended up marrying him and moving to Southern California, and they bought a house. And her name is listed first on the house. So obviously I know who wears the pants in that relationship. It's her. And for any man out there that's going to marry a woman, that cheats on her current boyfriend with you, you're a stupid guy, because, dude, you being married to her cheating on me with you while I was dating her, only says that she's capable of doing it again, and she may end up doing it to you at some point. So everything will be all fine and good as long as you keep providing her the emotional support she needs, or maybe financial support, or whatever it is that she needs. But the moment she feels that you're not filling the voids that she needs to be filled, a woman like that is going to just find someone else and replace you, buddy. And you're not going to know what fucking hit you. So in that situation, I have to say that story fucking killed me back then. I mean, it kind of bugs me to this day, but I've moved on from it. I'm totally over her. But yeah, that's one right there where if she didn't have me around, she would have to file bankruptcy. She wouldn't have made it. She would have to move back home into a place that she doesn't want to be with or be at because that's where her father and mother live, and she doesn't like her father. She thinks her father's a narcissist. I saved her ass. Yeah, I feel like a stupid fuck for doing it. But yeah, so in that case, she needed a man to help her get back on track. And now she's independent. She's fully independent. Now, my second story involves, the current ex that broke up with me 3 months ago. This is not going to be, I'm not going to say a negative story because I don't have a lot of bad things to say about her because she's actually a very good woman. And I don't feel that she took advantage of me for the wrong reasons. But I just want to share with you folks what happened because I want to share that whether you have a good relationship with a woman or not, or whether a woman's really into you for the right reasons or not, when a woman is with you, she's looking to see what you're capable of doing to bring to the table to help make her life easier, even financially, and helping her become more independent. Because as we all know, women back in the days, before modern day feminism and the women's movement, came into play, were dependent on men for everything. And I still think to a large extent, they still are. It's just not being talked about. But I'm here to prove that it does happen because it's happened to me many times where I've been in a relationship, and even if it was a good relationship, I did a lot for the women I was with, and it helped them further their life. It helped them get to where they wanted to get to financially, mentally, emotionally, etc. It was almost kind of like I was the fixer of them. Now, I'm not saying I was the fixer of my ex. My current ex that broke up with me 3 months ago, okay, she was also going through a divorce, but she had already been divorced for a little less than a year when we met. But she still had some loose ends to take care of. And when she was married, she was running an in-home daycare business, making very good money. But you do need a house to run an in-home daycare. And what happened as part of her divorce settlement is that she had to sell her house. Her and her ex-husband had to sell their house and split the assets. Well, because her ex-husband had a $200,000 prenuptial agreement on the marriage, and many of you guys will say that was a smart idea. I'm not going to say too much about it because I honestly feel that my ex did do more in that relationship. I've heard the whole story, and I do believe her on it, despite what happened between us. But nevertheless, moving forward, okay, so, she got, like $100,000 or something. He got like $300,000, after, the marital assets, after it was figured, after the amount was figured, what was left after, the selling price of the house. And so she got 50-50 custody of her daughters. And basically what happened was her ex-husband, didn't know how to relate to the girls. He wasn't the greatest father. He's a nice guy, but he just wasn't the greatest father. So she got an apartment with her two girls and paying like $2,700 a month rent. She had $100,000 in the bank, paying $2,700 a month rent. And because she couldn't run her in-home daycare out of an apartment, you need a house to do it, she went and got a job at a child care center, paying her $20 an hour. She was making about $2,600 a month there. So she was making $2,600 a month take home there, which was $100 less than what her rent was. So her job wasn't even covering her rent. Okay? So, what ended up happening? Okay? I started to see her, and every month, her money, she had to tap into her savings to buy groceries, to pay auto insurance, to pay the utilities, to pay everything else, right? And the money was starting to go quick. And let me tell you something. If you don't have a job, that can afford your rent, especially here in the Bay Area where rent's very expensive, your money's going to go very, very fast. It was starting to get to the point of where, her money was dwindling down to 20 grand, 15 grand, and she started to get scared, and she was talking with me about it. At that point, her and I had been dating probably for, about 3 or 4 months. Excuse me. And me being an entrepreneur and having a lot of experience in helping people start a business and seeing what they're passionate about and knowing what to do in these situations, I said, you know what? Have you thought about starting your in-home daycare? Yeah, she said, yeah, I've thought about it, but I need a house to start that. The problem is I'm not making enough money to move into a house, and I've only got this much amount of money in the bank. How am I going to make that happen? I said, well, you know what? You need to pray for a gift. There are people out there, if you share your story, or maybe see if your parents can co-sign for you, will allow you to sign a lease into a house knowing that you're going to be making the money and running that business out of your place, out of their place. And she said, okay, let's go for it. So we started looking for home rentals. Man, this air quality is really, really bad. Started looking for home rentals. And she found this lady that was brand new to renting properties. She owned the property a couple cities away, and she bought a new property as an investment property and was renting it out for the first time. And my ex told her story, told her parents were willing to co-sign, and this lady bought her story, and next thing you know, my ex now signed a lease on this place, a nice place. What happened after that? She reinstated her license. I think her license was still active, but she had to contact the state of California to have them come and check out the new place and sign it off. And she had to put it back out there that she's reopening her daycare business. Within 2 to 3 months after that, within 2 months or so after that, she was back up and running. And she was full. And she raised her rates to $85 a day. She's making $500 a day. Probably making close to 100K, if not over 100K a year now. What did I do for her? I created her website. I created her logo. I designed her logo. I created a nice high-quality video of her with my equipment. I brought my equipment to her place. I edited it. I helped her get her business back up and running. Now, don't get me wrong. She did her part. But I was there to encourage her. And I was there during a time where if I wasn't emotionally supporting her and guiding her along the way, I'm not saying that she couldn't have done it on her own, but it would have been much more difficult, and she would have more than likely had to move back in with her parents. That's what I did for this woman. Now, her rent at that place was pretty high. It was like $4,400 a month. And she ended up having some issues with her landlord to the point of where she didn't want to renew the lease and she had to find another place. What happened? She started looking again, found another place for $3,400 a month rent, $1,000 less. At that point, she was really stoked because now she's making this good money and paying $1,000 a month less in rent. $1,000, having $1,000 extra each month is huge. She moved into that place. I helped her move not once, but twice. I helped her move, and her family did too. Everybody did, but I helped her as well. I helped her move into a new place as well. And once she got into her new place, I'd say less than 3 months after she moved in, she broke it off with me. And I remember after we broke up, she ended up telling me that I'm in a really good place now. I'm in a really good place. Of course you are in a really good place. I'm happy that you're in a really good place. I'm happy that you've turned your life around, gotten your business back up and running, and moved into a place that has more affordable rent for you, especially in the area where you live. That's one of the most expensive areas to rent, period. The question I have for this woman, she knows who she is. I'm not being bitter about this. I'm just saying, look, do you appreciate the help you got to get to where you're at? Do you honestly think that you could have done this on your own without myself or without, the help of other people? I'm not saying that you're not capable of doing it, but do you think it made it easier? Now, I hold no resentment for this, and I'm very, very happy for the success that she's created. And I'm not saying anything bad about this woman because I think she's a great person. But when you look at the title of this video, do women, use men to truly gain independence? You have to ask yourself, could she have done this without me? And I doubt she's still watching my videos. She used to. But if you are, ex-girlfriend, watching my videos, think about it. Could you have done this without the emotional support that I gave you? Without the work that I did to help you out? And I did all that because I respected you and cared for you. You went through a lot of things. You were going through a lot. You were struggling. You were in a position where you almost had to move back into your parents' place. You went through all that. And I stood by you through a time that many other men would have said, fuck you, I'm out. I don't need to put up with this shit. I stood by you through some of your toughest times. The only reason why I'm putting this out there is because I went through some things that I didn't tell her initially. She found out about them, but they were kind of similar things that she went through emotionally. And when I went through some similar things that she went through and I supported her on, she decided to give up on me because now she's in a better place and doesn't need me anymore. I helped her get to where she wants to get to, and now she doesn't need me anymore. I'm not trying to be bitter or angry about it. So, ex-girlfriend, if you're watching this, I'm not mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I got nothing but love for you. Just want you to understand how you got to where you got to. And I'm not taking anything away from the fact that you could have done it on your own. But don't sit there and tell me for 1 second that having my support didn't make it a hell of a lot easier. Don't tell me it didn't. So before I wrap this up, let's see where are we at right now? I can't even see. We're at 33 minutes. Walking back to my car right now. I'm actually not coughing as much. Kind of getting used to it. Again, sorry for being all over the place in this video here, guys and gals. I think I've come down with a cold, like I mentioned at the beginning, and the air quality's shitty here in Redwood City because there's a fire about 150 to 175 miles north of here. 100,000 acre plus fire, 100,000 plus acre fire. And the wind has pushed down all the smoke, down south. But what I want to say here is, look, men are still valuable. Men still care about helping women. Men still have traditional values. Men love to fix things. We love to make shit happen. And when we care about somebody, we want to make their life as easy as possible. But in today's day and age, where the women's movement has, proclaimed women to be more independent, which is fine. A lot of times when you have a man come in and truly help a woman get back on her feet because he loves her and cares about her, once she gets to where she needed to get to, if one little thing goes wrong, she'll kick your ass to the curb. Rather than giving you a chance in the same ways that you gave her a chance when she was going through the same shit that you are now currently going through as a man. So one thing that I'm disappointed at women is because they're emotional beings. They want us men to understand all their shit and what they go through emotionally. But if we go through something emotionally, you run for the fucking hills. And that's because it's always been known that men are supposed to be strong and be the rock and, be the emotional saviors, right? Be the emotional pillars. Well, we have a heart and we're human as well. And before I wrap this up, I'm probably going to do a second video in a little bit today, later on this afternoon, which it'll be released later tonight. Regarding, like I mentioned earlier, do both men and women, need to feel emotionally satisfied in order to have a long-lasting relationship? Do both men and women need to feel emotionally satisfied to have a fulfilling, long-lasting relationship that's going to go the distance? Because it's known that women need that. And it's also been known that men need to be the rock. And, it's also been known that men shouldn't be as emotional. But I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to talk more about that in the video later today. So with that being said, oh man, I'm kind of feeling it. I still want to get my exercise in. It still makes me feel better to be out here than to be indoors, even though when the air quality is this shitty, you should be more indoors because you're inhaling all this, bad quality air. But I just can't stay indoors all day. But anyway, be good to each other. Hopefully you're all having a great weekend. Hopefully whatever it is that you're currently going through, you're sitting there and you're really thinking about, what happened and how you could better your future and how you could do it better the next time around. My one bit of advice at the end of this video is don't hold on to resentment. I don't hold any resentment to my now current ex that recently broke up with me or my ex before that, the veterinarian that cheated on me. I don't hold any resentment. I moved forward from it. But learn from it. Learn from it. And when you go into something the next time around, use what you learned to your advantage. Okay? Use what you learned to your advantage. Look at it as a lesson learned and try to not let it bring you down. I'm not going to lie, I've moved on for the most part from my now current ex, but I still have my moments of where, I'll think about her from time to time. I think about her sometimes. And it makes me wonder if things could have been different, if she just saw things a little differently. If she were to see that, hey, look, you know what? I have my emotional moments as well, just like you did. I may be going through some similar things, or I may have gone through some similar things towards the end of our relationship, okay, that I held from you and you found out, that I would have been happy if you would have supported me through those, because I supported you through your shit when you were going through it, but you didn't want to do it. I really wish things could have been different in that way, but that's not the way it works. It's not the way it really works with women in general, but especially with the modern day woman. It's not going to work. You got to be on your A game, and you got to be emotionally strong, and you got to be the rock. And again, I'll share more about my thoughts regarding emotions and how important they are to both men and women. The emotional bond and how feeling emotionally satisfied is extremely important, not just to women, but to men as well. And you're going to want to check out that video because it's going to be very interesting, unlike anything you've heard anywhere else before. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you very much, everybody. I made it through. Part of my voice, part of my coughing, and part of me being all over the place, but hopefully this made sense. And I'll see you all at the next one. Take care. Bye.